8 spine-chilling paranormal encounters exposed, terrifying ghost sightings caught on camera. Sarah gripped the steering wheel tightly, her heart racing as dark shadows danced outside her car. The moon cast an eerie glow on the empty roads of Maplewood, and for the first time, she felt more like prey than a ride-share driver. Stories of colonizing ghosts and ghastly disappearances echoed in her mind as she drove through the silent suburb, each rustle of leaves or distant howl making her skin crawl. Tonight was different, something was wrong. As she navigated the winding streets, the chilling truth hit her: her neighborhood was no longer home, but a haunted shell. With each night shift, requests led her to forgotten corners, abandoned buildings looming like menacing figures. The whispers of the past seeped into her mind, dark memories she thought were long buried. A shiver ran down her spine. She had to remind herself that this was still Maplewood, these streets were once her sanctuary. But last night had shaken her. A frantic passenger with wild eyes implored her to stay away from local hero Charlie. His warning was a haunting echo, filled with desperation. "He's not who you think he is," the man whispered, his breath heavy with fear. Sarah shuddered. Charlie had always been the friendly face in their community, the man who helped her fix her fence when she was struggling. Could he really be linked to something sinister? No, her neighbors couldn't be involved in anything so horrific. She had to hold on to that belief. Weeks rolled on, and with each late-night drive, familiar faces vanished. The park, once echoing with laughter, grew quiet. Where had the kids gone? Memories of the cheerful woman walking her dog now felt like specters haunting her mind. The elderly couple next door. All gone. Panic gripped her as the stillness of her surroundings morphed into a thick, suffocating silence, and the laughter that had once warmed her heart was replaced with dread. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Then came the night that shattered her world. Inside her home, she flicked light switches that only sputtered in response. Cold sweat dripped down as tangible shadows lurked, whispering her name, twisting memories of laughter into something darker. There it was, in her children's playroom, an unsettling reminder of the warmth that had turned icy. Shapes flitted through her mind, images of trust melting into betrayal. Was the safety she thought she protected really a facade hiding a deep, festering rot? Determined to shield her children from whatever dark cloud loomed, Sarah began piecing together the chilling fragments of a conspiracy simmering in her once peaceful suburb. The pull of truth was intoxicating and terrifying, each investigation unveiling deeper horrors than she ever wanted to uncover. Time and again, her instincts screamed that she was being watched, as if a predator too close to her home awaited one single misstep. Sarah's pulse thudded in her ears, desperation clawing at her throat. How much longer could she protect her kids? The neighborhood had now morphed into a maze of dread. The comforting porch light flickered like a warning sign, taunting her with memories of safety that might never return. The shadows were drawing closer, and Sarah's fight against the encroaching darkness cemented a harrowing question: could she really trust anyone around her anymore? The very essence of her nurturing spirit began to fray, leading her toward a last confrontation with the sinister truth. The air felt thicker that night, wrapping around Sarah like a vice. The weight of unspoken fears clung to her, refusing to let go. With trembling hands, she grabbed the flashlight, its beam cutting through the oppressive darkness of her home. One part of her screamed to flee, to take the children and drive far away from Maplewood, but another part clung to the belief that confronting her fears was the only way to become free. As she kicked the door shut behind her, the steady thrum of her heart echoed in her ears. Night blankets lay over the children's rooms, and she crept towards them, feeling the quiet stillness as her only companion. The soft rise and fall of their small chests brought her a moment of solace. But the shadows seemed to stretch, licking the walls and crawling closer, as if they hungered for the warmth of life. Steeling herself, Sarah tiptoed to her laptop. The screen flickered to life, illuminating her face in a ghostly glow. She began her search. The internet was a rabbit hole of horrors. Stories swirled around Charlie, tales of missing children and unexplainable events linked back to him. Each click revealed a rumor, a warning, a life turned cold. Her chest tightened as pictures of smiling families turned into snapshots of despair. "No," she whispered, her voice cracking. Then she found a video, a shaky recording of a nearby park, the same park she used to take her kids to. A figure lurked in the shadows, a dark silhouette with eyes like black holes drawing in every light, hinting at unspeakable evil. As she watched, the figure took a step closer to a group of children playing on the swings, shadows swallowing their laughter whole. She paused the footage, heart racing as she recognized the man, the hero of the neighborhood. Charlie. Panic surged through her. Pressing play again, she listened intently as the terrified voice of a witness explained the night they saw Charlie talking to a little girl by the swings, his casual demeanor a mask for something much darker. Voices filled the background like echoes from beyond, their calls blending with the whir of cicadas, summoning chilling memories she thought she'd buried deep. "Get out," she snapped at herself, her gut twisting like a coiled snake. She couldn't stay here, couldn't be a part of this horrifying reality. But just as she prepared to close her laptop, a loud bang came from the children's room like thunder rolling through the quiet night. Her breath hitched in her throat. The air grew electric, crackling with fear. Sarah scrambled toward the door, but it wouldn't open. The shadows outside twisted into intent, and she turned back, eyes darting around the room. Her heart raced, filled with dread and resolve. The kids were depending on her, and she could feel something sinister creeping through the walls, tightening around her. As she pushed with all her strength, the door suddenly swung open, revealing nothing but an impenetrable veil of darkness. Shadows pooled beneath the small nightlight, amusement flickering in their depths. "Sarah!" A child's voice whispered from within the gloom. Chills shot through her spine at the sound. It was different, warped. Terrified and entranced, she stepped slowly into the room. "Mommy, help!" The words pricked at her heart like ice, and instinctively she lunged, seeking to find her children in the cozy beds. But nothing prepared her for what lay ahead, a sight that would fracture her mind and haunt her dreams forever. As the walls seemed to pulse with a life of their own, Sarah whispered a prayer, steeling herself for the truth she had been dodging. The truth, she realized, might just drown her in darkness. And then she saw it, what slumbered in the corner, shrouded in shadows. Could the grip of evil reach into her life, tearing apart everything she loved? The night was far from over, and an even graver confrontation awaited. Would she save her children or become another victim in Maplewood's chilling tale? The darkness loomed heavier as Sarah's hand flailed against the edges of the bed, searching desperately for the familiar warmth of her children. The voice that had called out their voices now seemed to echo from every corner of the room, warped and haunting. "Mommy, help!" The distorted sound sliced through her resolve. Her heart hammered in her chest as she caught her breath, eyes wide in disbelief. What she expected to find was innocence, but instead, her gaze fell onto the shadows that shifted and twisted. It felt alive, like a predator behind the veil, watching her every move. "Where are you?" she croaked, her voice barely above a whisper. Suddenly, her flashlight flickered, the beam sputtering like her hope. Shadows danced across the walls, exposing fleeting glimpses of the children's forms, but only for a split second before retreating into the black. Panic surged, she fought to steady her mind as she felt the chill wrap tighter around her. From the depths of the corner, a shape began to solidify. The low, guttural laughter mixed with the sound of rustling sheets, breaking through the silence like nails against glass. Her instinct screamed to flee. But the truth clawed at her. She needed to stay, to confront whatever the darkness dared to reveal. The figure took a step forward, revealing an outline that twisted into an unnatural position, limbs bending where they should not. Sarah's breath came quick, panic turning cold like ice in her veins. She took a small step back, heart racing. A face emerged, contorted yet familiar, and as she squinted through the shadows, recognition broke her. "Charlie!" she gasped, voice trembling. But this wasn't he, the friendly neighbor she once knew. This was a nightmare wrapped in flesh. His eyes glinted like wet stones, hollow and deep, his mouth stretched into a mocking grin that sent shudders coursing through her. "Sarah," his voice was smooth, a sickly sweetness that coated the dread saturating the room. "Why don't you come join me? They're waiting." A wave of nausea rolled over her. The thought of her children, what he could do with them, sent her reflexively grabbing the edge of the bed for support. "Get away from them!" she cried, her voice rising out of desperation. But the shadows shifted, swallowing her words alive. "Don't you want to see them?" "I'm just playing a game." The air thickened around her as his words curled like smoke. With every syllable, the darkness thickened as if it were feeding on the very essence of her fear. She could barely breathe, choking on the weight of dread. With a burst of courage, she turned fully towards him, flashlight raised. "Show yourself!" she shouted, her voice ringing clear and defiant. Charlie's grin widened unnaturally as the light broke against him. For a fleeting second, she caught a glimpse of something otherworldly, a flicker of eyes, no, not human eyes embedded with wickedness. It felt as though a crack formed in reality around them, its edges fraying with each ounce of bravado she tried to muster. "Mommy!" The children's cry pierced the veil of terror thickening around her. Something inside her surged. "I'm coming!" she screamed, tearing her gaze away from the specter of Charlie. She stumbled toward the sound that fractured through the dark, but the closer she got, the more dense the shadows grew. The walls shimmered like reflections in an unseen current, buckling under the weight of her dread. Just beyond the bed, the nightlight cast long, twisted shadows that formed grotesque shapes, flickering like lantern flames in anticipation. A low whisper grazed her ear. "They'll never be free, Sarah." She took a deep breath, countering the dark with determination, ready to fight tooth and nail for her family. But as she reached for the handle of the bedroom door, her world shifted, distorting in ways she couldn't comprehend. What awaited her beyond was something she had never anticipated. Could she navigate the maze of shadows and save her children, or were they already lost to the darkness? The night was still pregnant with fear, and an even greater horror lay just around the corner. What if it had all been nothing but a carefully spun trap? As Sarah's hand grasped the cold doorknob, a jolt of icy terror shot through her. The shadows twisted further into a swirling void, as if the door had become a portal to a nightmare. With shaking resolve, she turned the knob and pushed the door open, the creak echoing in the silent house like a death knell. The hallway stretched out before her, long and dark. Each step she took felt heavy, the floorboards creaking like distant whispers of those who had walked there before. The air was stagnant, thick with an oppressive weight that threatened to drag her back. "Mommy!" The voice rang out again, crystal clear amongst the chorus of whispers that still lingered in the corners of her mind. She darted forward, the beam of her flashlight slicing through the dark. Doors lined the hallway, each one slightly ajar, shadows spilling out like ink. Her heart raced as she hurried past, terrified that one of those doors would swing wide with something waiting inside that she couldn't perceive. Then she stopped, her breath catching in her throat. At the end of the hall, a door stood closed, a faint light seeping beneath it. It flickered like a candle flame. It felt wrong. But there, behind it, her children's voices. So close, yet shrouded in a terrifying uncertainty. "Charlie, where are you?" she shouted, her voice laced with both fear and fury. The answer came not from Charlie, but from the light. A luminescent glow stretched across the floor, pulsating in rhythm with her heartbeat. She pressed her palm against the door, a tremor running through her body at the thought of what lay inside. "Mommy!" This time, her children's voices were fuller, and the sound of laughter mingled oddly with their pleas. Something wasn't right. The laughter twisted in her ears, a chilling mockery. "Don't go in there." A voice slithered from the darkness. It was soft and sinister, freezing her to the spot. She turned slowly, the flashlight beam wavering. Leaning against the wall, another figure emerged from the shadows. This one was much smaller, hunched and swathed in a fog of darkness. Sarah squeezed the flashlight tighter, her fingers aching from the effort. "Who are you?" she croaked. "Just a friend," the childlike voice echoed in a laugh that sent chills down her spine. "I was with them once too." There was something disconcerting about the figure, the way it moved, too fluid, too unnatural. As the light fell upon its face, she recoiled. It was a child, yet not. The eyes were wide, blackened holes of nothingness. It grinned, lips stretched too far, revealing a mouth filled with jagged teeth. "Come play, it's fun." It chirped in a sing-song tone, its head tilting in an unsettling manner. "Get away from me!" Sarah cried, instinctively stepping back. But the vacuum of darkness expanded, tightening like a noose. She could feel it pulling her in, feeding on her fear, its whispers growing louder, more demanding. The corridors swirled around her, warping her sense of direction. Through the chaos, the door at the end glowed, insistent. Her children were behind it. Yet that feeling of dread twisted inside her, warning her. It felt like a trap, but what choice did she have? In the back of her mind, a fleeting thought grazed past. What if the children weren't herself? What if it was too late? "Mommy," they were crying out again, more desperate now. Torn between the instinct to flee and the instinct to save, Sarah plunged forward, heading towards the door. With each step, the shadows shrieked and howled around her, an orchestra of terror. The sinister laughter of the creature chased her, echoing against the walls like a mad symphony. Her fingers grazed the cold surface of the door, and with a rush of primal desperation, she yanked it open. What met her on the other side wasn't just a room. It was a realm painted in her worst fears, where the echoes of malevolent spirits twisted into the night. Just then, another voice threaded through the chaos, a voice she had never wished to hear again. "Welcome home, Sarah." As reality warped and cracked around her, she couldn't help but wonder what price would she have to pay to rescue her children from this waking nightmare. The moment Sarah stepped through the doorway, she was consumed by a whirlwind of blinding light. It enveloped her, twisting her vision until the corridor she had just fled vanished completely. The chaos of sound crashed over her like waves, echoes of children crying mixed with sinister laughter that darted in and out of consciousness, taunting her. As the light faded, she found herself in an impossibly large room, the walls stretching up into an endless void. The floor was cold and slick beneath her bare feet, reflecting shadows that slithered and danced across the surface. Wisps of mist curled towards her, flickering with a sickly green glow, hovering just out of reach. "Mommy! Help!" Charlie's voice pierced through the oppressive silence, forcing her to search the horizon, her heart racing. "Charlie!" She gasped, her voice swallowed by the vast emptiness. "Where are you?" A flickering light caught her attention on her left. She rushed toward it, the hope of her children urging her forward. As she neared, she realized it wasn't a simple lamp or candle, but a large oval mirror hanging crookedly on the wall, its surface a swirling mass of silver and black. It pulsated like a living thing, and echoes of her children's laughter echoed from inside. "Come see." The sinister child's voice from the hallway whispered again, mocking her efforts. "They're right here." Sarah hesitated, sweat crawling down her back. Could she trust it? The laughter from beyond the mirror felt like a siren's song, mesmerizing and enchanting. But just as quickly, it turned to their cries, drowning in fear, a reminder of the danger that surrounded her. "No!" she shouted back, stepping back from the mirror as her heart threatened to erupt. She blinked hard, trying to push the voices away, when the reflection changed. She flinched as the surface rippled, images twisting and contorting. There lay a scene: Charlie and his sister, Emma, huddled together in a dark corner, their eyes filled with terror. They were reaching outward, grasping at something invisible. "Mommy! Please!" Emma's voice shattered the air, a piercing scream that clawed at Sarah's insides. The mirror screamed back, unveiling shadows that whipped around, forming grotesque shapes of children lost and spirits ensnared. Fear gripped Sarah, freezing her in place. Could all of this be real? The haunted chorus rose and fell, echoing with despair. "You have to play or they'll stay forever," it chanted, a guttural mockery that sent chills coursing through her veins. With newfound determination, Sarah gritted her teeth. She had to save Charlie and Emma. She moved closer, reaching out to the mirror. The cold surface rippled as her fingertips grazed it, and she felt a jolt of feedback, a surge of pain that radiated through her arm, a warning. "Say their names, call for them." The childlike figure whispered again, writhing within the next shadow. "Charlie. Emma." Sarah cried, her voice firm and unwavering. "I'm coming for you." The laughter turned to howls, furious and panicked. The mirror absorbed her voice, amplifying it until it was a roar. The fabric of the room twisted, and shadows ripped from the walls like shadows of anguish, creeping toward her. As the mirror's intensity grew, the laughter transformed into pained screams. Sarah stumbled back, nearly losing her balance as the lights flickered violently. "What's happening?" she gasped. Suddenly, the darkness surged, swallowing the light and leaving her in blind terror. A harsh whisper wrapped around her, thick and suffocating. "You shouldn't have come." In that moment of complete darkness, time slipped away. Sarah could feel the walls close in, an unseen weight pressing against her chest. With every beat of her heart, she was reminded that she had only a second chance. But what if her children were never meant to be freed? The darkness vibrated with intensity. The whispers were a cacophony, now pulling her deeper into despair. In an instant, the room erupted back into the light. But this time, Sarah was not alone. A figure loomed behind her, cloaked in shadows. "Playtime is just beginning." Fear ensnared her heart as she realized how deep the darkness truly ran. Would she have the strength to uncover the terrible truth that lay ahead? The figure behind Sarah shifted, its shape flickering like a faulty bulb. She could barely make out its features, but her instincts screamed danger. "Run!" they whispered in her mind, but she was frozen, every nerve ending on fire with fear. "Playtime is just beginning," the shadow hissed again, the voice oddly charming yet dripping with malice. It crept closer, its elongated fingers brushing the air as if tasting the energy around her. "Do you want to play, Sarah? It's so lonely here. I want my children." She snapped back, suddenly finding her voice in her rage. The light around the creature warbled as if it were absorbed by the energy of her defiance. "Then you must play to win them back," it purred, the shadows around it growing denser, swirling like a tempest. "Or they'll be trapped with us forever." The thought struck fear deep within her chest, a solid weight that rendered her breathless. With trembling hands, she grasped the edge of the mirror, feeling heat sizzle through her fingertips. "What do you want?" she demanded, knowing full well the answer would be sinister. "Join us, embrace the game," the shadow figure gestured playfully, its arm extending unnaturally, revealing a twisted array of spectral fingers pointing toward the mirror. "Look inside, feel their pain, learn their secrets. You can't win without them." Dread curled in her stomach as she approached the mirror again, its surface still swirling with images of her children. She leaned closer, feeling the pull of their souls against her own, a magnetic yearning that made her ache. "Charlie! Emma!" she shouted into the mirror, her voice ricocheting off the walls in desperate echoes. The laughter returned, but this time it was cruel, mocking her attempts to reach them. "Mommy, don't go." Emma's voice sliced through the laughter like a knife. "Help us." "Just a game, Sarah," the shadow sang, its voice like a sweet poison. "You just have to play once for each child." "What game?" she yelled. "What do I have to do?" In the dark, shadows twist, it taunted. In the light, they can't resist. Will you dance with this darkness? Will you invoke its bliss? With every word, the specter drew her in, phantoms of old childhood fears resurfacing, being lost in the dark, of promises broken, of futures snatched away. Stop! She screamed, slamming her fist against the mirror's surface. The glass vibrated violently, sending ripples through the images within, distorting her children's faces. Every choice has a cost, the figure grinned, the shadows swirling through the space between them. Make yours. Their fate hangs in the balance. An unsettling calm enveloped her, as if the room itself was holding its breath, making the air dense and heavy. She could sense a sickening truth: the game wasn't just a metaphor. These shadows wanted her to play, to choose between her children, to gamble their freedom against her own. Panic surged, too close to the edge, and she took a step back. No. She couldn't do that. Not like this. I want to choose. She shrieked, her instincts screaming that rejecting the game was a foolish choice. The darkness laughed, a thunderous tide that threatened to drown her. You'll lose them all. It roared. The mirror flashed violently, demanding her attention, spinning out of control. The laughter shrieked, transforming into pure agony. Mommy! Help! Charlie's voice pierced through the chaos. The room trembled, shadows screeching as they stretched and twisted, approaching with insidious intent. Sarah felt her heart clench as the choice solidified in her mind. She had to stop this madness. Her courage roared like wildfire in her veins. Fine! She shouted, the words tearing from her throat. I'll play. And then, everything went dark again. But this time, she felt an unfamiliar presence beside her, complicit and waiting. Welcome to the game, the shadows whispered in unison. With a chill creeping through her body, Sarah knew she was in for a fight more terrifying than she ever imagined. What had she just set in motion? What awaited her in this dreadful game? The darkness enveloped Sarah, swallowing her whole. She felt weightless, unanchored, as if gravity had abandoned her. The absence of light distorted her senses. No sound, no movement, just the heavy lull of something ancient and hungry, surrounding her with a palpable dread. Let the games begin, whispered a chorus, voices dripping with honeyed malice, slithering through her thoughts like smoke. In this boundless void, Sarah's heart thundered in her chest, echoing loudly against the silence. How long had she been here? Time ceased to exist. She clung to her memories of Charlie and Emma, little flickers of warmth in her mind's eye. Images of their laughter pierced through the dark, faintly illuminating her hope. Suddenly, a cold breeze brushed against her skin. She spun around, breath hitching. Is anyone there? The words felt fragile, a whisper lost in shadow. Ready, Sarah? The figure emerged from the gloom, more defined this time. It loomed, all jagged edges and smirking malice, eyes glinting with a dreadful hunger. You're here to play and the rules are simple. What do you want from me? She demanded, bravery faltering. This wasn't just a game, it was a reckoning. It's delightful, really. All you need to do is trust me, it jeered, moving closer until she could feel the icy tendrils of its presence invading her thoughts. Each round challenges your love. Choose wisely, or lose them forever. Choose. What do you mean? A lump formed in her throat, the cold creeping deeper. The thought of having to pick one child to save made her stomach churn. Fear is a wonderful motivator, it sneered. You will decide which child to seek first, a choice that defines your path. It raised a skeletal hand, fingers weaving through the emptiness like marionettes. Do you see? Images ripped through the darkness. Snapshots of her time with Charlie and Emma flooded her mind. Emma twirling in a sundress, Charlie's infectious grin, their stories under the stars. But just as quickly, those visions twisted, contorted into nightmare memories, screams, shadows licking at their heels, faces contorted in agony. Enough. she shouted, staggering back as the figures faded, replaced by the fog of despair. I want to play your sick game. Then they remain lost, it hissed, the tone falling into a thunderous roar that resonated in her bones. But don't worry. The game will unfold, whether you wish for it or not. The shadows solidified, pressing against her, willing her to submit. Wait. An idea sparked a desperate, feeble plan. If I stand strong, can I find a way to save them both? There was a brief moment of silence, a glimmer of hesitation in the creature's facade. But it quickly morphed back into laughter, a sound like cracking ice. You really think you can defy the game? Oh, sweet Sarah, such naivete. The world around her began to shift, colors bleeding like an old film. She felt her feet anchor, the ground solidifying under her. If I must choose, then I will choose my power, she proclaimed. Very well, the game shall reveal itself, it said, bitterness dripping from every word. Prepare for the first challenge, you will witness their fears in the dark. The room twisted, furniture melting away as darkness consumed everything except her. She felt her breath quicken, anticipation threading through the fear. What now? She thought, heart racing, as a low light began to pulse from the edges of her vision. Embrace your fears, Sarah, the shadow chanted, and they will guide you to the truth you seek. Suddenly, the air thickened. A wretched scream echoed from somewhere deep within the void. Mommy! A voice she knew too well, laced with terror that made her spine tingle. As the sound clawed at her sanity, Sarah braced herself. Would she face her children's nightmares to save them? Or would everything unravel before her, leading her deeper into this game of shadows? Let the test commence, it jeered, and the darkness intensified, threatening to pull her into its depths. With clenched fists and a racing heart, Sarah took a step forward, resolute. Was she ready for this battle against the shadow's malicious game, or was there a deeper horror lurking that she had yet to uncover? A chill ran down Sarah's spine as the shadows swirled around her. The air buzzed with tension, each heartbeat echoing louder than before. Mommy! The cry rang out again, this time followed by a torrent of muffled sobs that clawed at her gut. She couldn't let that plea be lost in the darkness. Stay strong, Sarah, she whispered to herself, forcing her feet to move. She was no longer in a void, she was standing on the precipice of her children's fears. Each step felt heavy, as if the dark itself was trying to pull her back, to stifle her resolve. As she ventured deeper, the light fractured, revealing murky shadows that danced in the corners of her vision, shapes of childhood nightmares and jagged fragments of her children's minds. Each one carried a name: abandonment, betrayal, darkness. Were these the fears she would have to confront? Which will it be? The shadow loomed closer, its eyes glimmering with feral delight. Show me, she demanded, fire igniting in her chest. I want to shy away from their fears. Suddenly, the void cracked open, a vignette of her memories formed before her. On one side, Emma stood alone in their living room, her small hands covering her ears, eyes squeezed shut as a storm raged outside. Make it stop, Mommy! She cried, tears streaming down her face. On the other side, Charlie was trapped in a dark corridor, shadows swirling around him, his small voice faltering, I can't find you, Mommy. Help! The memories wrestled in Sarah's mind. My God, I have to choose, but her fists remained balled, the weight of this decision crushing. How could she choose one child's comfort over the other's anguish? Turn away from the truth and let the chaos consume them, the figure hissed, its voice dripping with malice. It's so simple against her own instinct, her mind faltered. A dread seeped in. What if she couldn't save them after all? Would she lose them both? No. She shouted, shaking her head. I refuse to let fear win. She closed her eyes, inhaling deeply, channeling every ounce of love and strength she had left into a single thought. I will save both of you. But then the darkness twisted, the shadow growling in displeasure. Love won't be enough, it crooned, wrapping tendrils around her limbs. You'll have to peel back the layers of your fears. Or they will pay the price. Terror spiraled around her. She could feel the emotional stakes skyrocketing, so raw, so perilous. The scream pierced through again. "Mommy! Emma!" A rush of determination surged through her as she launched herself towards the flickering apparition that signified her daughter. The room warped, and suddenly she found herself imbued with Emma's reality. Sustained winds howled through the room, filling her ears with cries of despair. Emma stood frozen in fear, the storm raging violently around her. Each clap of thunder was a heartbeat of panic threatening to drown out Emma's vulnerability. "Mommy!" The cries mixed with the tumult, and panic clawed at Sarah's throat. She reached out to embrace her daughter, but the tempest pulled her away. "Let her go." The shadow erupted in wrath. "Embrace the chaos. Or leave her behind." With every ounce of courage, Sarah fought against the shadows, the memories clinging to her like wet rags. "I will not let go," she yelled defiantly. She focused on Emma, on the sweet girl with big dreams and infinite love. Would her resolve be enough? Could she untangle them from the web of fears that held them, both her children, captive? Tension tightened around her like a noose, and she could feel her strength waning. But just as she was about to succumb, a glimmer of light burned brightly, her love igniting a path through the darkness. "Hold on!" She screamed, and the challenge stirred in her chest, ready to break open secrets hidden in the dark. What lay beyond? More fears? Or a chance to finally set them free? But in that moment, a shockwave pulsed through the void, a surge that shifted the ground beneath her feet. "Let us see how deep the waters go," it whispered ominously as everything began to unravel. What awaited Sarah in this unending shadow? Would she brave the depths for her children, or was there an unseen horror yet to be unleashed? The moment engulfed Sarah. The light flickered and faded, the sound of the raging storm drowning out her thoughts. The tendrils around her tightened, pulling her deeper into the swirling darkness, and as she struggled, the shadows erupted into a chorus of disembodied whispers. "Leave them behind, embrace the dark, no." Sarah screamed, clenching her fists. The sobs of her children rang out, echoing through the void with heart-wrenching clarity, demanding her attention. Panic coursed through her veins like ice. She felt suspended between two worlds, her heart a drum of dread pounding against her ribcage. Emma. Charlie. She couldn't tell how far apart they were, but those cries electrified her resolve. In that instant, she felt the ground beneath her shift, plunging her into a sea of darkness, no walls, no boundaries, only the faces of her fears staring back at her. She could see visions of a boy in the shadows, Charlie. He stood small and afraid, surrounded by gloom. "Mommy." The sound of his cry lit her soul with stubborn hope. "Help me." With one deep breath, Sarah shot forward, each step battling against the weight of despair. She could feel the shadows lashing at her skin, try as they might to deter her. "Mommy, where are you?" Charlie's voice diminished into a mere wisp of sound. "Charlie." She screamed. But the darkness swallowed her words whole. Then, just as she thought she couldn't persevere, a sudden burst of warmth enveloped her, shards of light breaking the tension. They sparked from a flickering memory of her children laughing in the backyard, sunlight dancing off their faces. "Find the light," she thought, a surge of energy rushing through her. She shut her eyes, picturing the playful afternoons spent together, the little moments that reminded her of pure joy. But the more she focused, the louder the whispers grew. "You think you can save them?" The shadows were relentless. "How will you reconcile your failures?" The ground trembled beneath her once more. The pulse of darkness grew louder with every heartbeat, each a taunt, pulling her into desolation. Sarah planted her feet, determination flooding her. "They deserve my fight," she shouted into the abyss. Before long, she stumbled upon another scene. This one revealed Emma trapped amidst a swirl of unearthly fog, hands pressed over her eyes as if blocking out a horror only she could perceive. "Mommy, help." Tangled in fear just like me, Sarah realized, her own chest tightening. Shadows clawed at her limbs, threatening to tear her apart. "Emma. I'm here. Mommy." Emma begged. "Please, make it stop." Sarah lunged forward, the storm around her intensifying. It wasn't just a storm now, it was a howling tempest, fierce and unrelenting. With every ounce of her being, she reached for her daughter, but the barrier of shadows held firm, swirling in malevolent delight. "Embrace your guilt." The dark shape hissed, feeding off her torment. "You are the architect of their fears." "No." Sarah could feel the shadows lapping at her feet, seeking a point of weakness. "I will not let my past bind my future." As she fought and screamed against the suffocating dark, a flicker caught her attention. A singular thread of light shimmered ahead, unmistakable and pure. "Mommy, hurry." A voice echoed, both familiar and filled with urgency. With newfound fury, Sarah charged toward the light, defying gravity itself, each stride pulling her closer. Behind her, the darkness roared, a cacophony of shriek and malevolence threatening to pull her under. But could she reach that light? The abyss fought back, darkness coiling around her ankles, otherworldly hands trying to drag her into the depths. "Save us, Mommy. Please." The cries merged with the howling storm, the terror of her children amplifying every second. The light beckoned her, yet the shadows continued to claw her resolve. In that moment of desperation, she knew it wasn't just about her children. It was a fight for herself too, to reclaim her worth. "Not today." She screamed, a primal roar of defiance soaring above the storm. Was it strength or insanity that propelled her? She didn't know. All she knew was that she had to break free before she lost them all. As she surged forth, that creeping dread clawed at her heels. What if she failed? Would darkness reign, swallowing every ounce of hope? "Hold on!" she cried, bursting towards the light, the final bastion against despair. Each movement felt like a battle, a desperate race against the end. And then a sudden silence fell, the shadows receding momentarily, revealing infinite paths. But beneath it all, the creeping dread lingered, whispering ominous truths of what lay ahead. Would the light pull her back to her children, or was it merely a mirage, leading her deeper into the abyss? The answers loomed tantalizingly close, just out of reach, but what she found within that shimmering glow could turn the tide of everything forever. The moment Sarah reached the light, it enveloped her like a warm embrace. The shadows that had clung to her faded into wisps of black smoke, and she felt a sudden rush of clarity wash over her. The storm around her stilled, replaced by a cocoon of radiance that pulsed softly, breathing life back into hope. "Mommy." A familiar chorus pulled her focus. Charlie and Emma stood amid the glow, their eyes wide with terror but filled with a flicker of trust. Relief surged through Sarah like a river breaking free from a dam, buoying her spirits. "I'm here. I'm coming." She cried out, lunging forward, her feet finding traction on the once slippery ground now solid and steady. She reached for her children, the warmth of their small hands igniting a fire within her. But the instant she clasped their fingers, the malevolent presence surged back, swelling in fury. "No. You can't have them." It howled, its voice reverberating through the chamber like thunder. "The game isn't over." Sarah felt the bond of fear wrapped tightly around them. "We won't let you tear us apart," she exclaimed, digging into her memories, her love for Charlie and Emma shining brighter than any darkness. The shadows screeched, twisting as they recoiled from the light that Sarah had kindled within her. She had realized something vital: the light wasn't just an escape, it was a power forged by genuine connection and unwavering love. "Follow me, kids," she urged, gripping their small hands tighter. "We can break the hold of this darkness together." With newfound resolve, they started to run, dodging the tendrils of shadow that lashed out like angry snakes. As they moved, Sarah thought back to all the heartwarming moments they had shared, the laughter, the bedtime stories, moments of pure joy. Each recollection fueled the glow radiating from them. Together, she shouted, the word booming against the walls as if calling upon the remnants of their unity. But the shadows were relentless. You think you can escape so easily? It snarled, rushing at them with wild abandon. No. We're not afraid of you, Sarah declared, her voice echoing with the memories of their laughs and love, quiet yet solid. The light pulsed and swelled, filling the cavernous space with a brilliant luminescence that morphed into a shield. With each step, shadows crashed against the barrier like waves against a cliff, losing strength with every collision. Sarah could feel the fear dissipating, like fog succumbing to the sun. "Mommy, it's working!" Emma exclaimed, a bright smile breaking through their encroaching troubles. "Keep moving. We're almost there," Sarah urged, the flickering exit of the dark realm glimmering ahead. The shadow hissed, weaving desperately around them like a storm. "You can't win this, Sarah. They will always be lost." "Not anymore," she countered, the heat of love illuminating her face. "Love conquers all." In one last burst, they propelled themselves toward the exit, arms locked together. The barrier of light flared brilliantly, pushing back against the darkness like the dawn forcing out the night. And in a blinding flash, they surged through the veil of shadows, bursting into the warm embrace of their home. They tumbled onto the living room floor, breathless yet alive, the glow of sunlight streaming through the windows. The house, once a shell of haunting shadows, flickered back to life, colors blooming with renewed vibrance around them. "Mommy! We did it!" Charlie shouted, throwing his arms around her, laughter spilling into the space that had once echoed with fear. Tears spilled down Sarah's cheeks, joy exploding in her chest. "Yes! We did it together!" As they embraced, the darkness faded into a distant memory, an echo of what had once threatened their bond. She turned her gaze around the room, heart swelling with the realization that love, true unconditional love, had triumphed over the shadows. With her children safe in her arms, she whispered a promise, one that would remain unbroken. "I will always protect you, no matter what. We are stronger together." Unbeknownst to her, from the depths of the shadow realm, the malevolence hissed, swirling beyond the periphery of reality. Someday, Sarah, but for now, she savored her victory, relishing every heartbeat shared with her children, knowing that together, there was nothing they couldn't face. You need to subscribe now to stay connected and not miss future exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to fuel the algorithm and show your support. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this gripping conclusion. And please, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this intense finale. Don't wait even one more second. Only true fans understand the importance of backing this channel through your actions.